Tell me if this sounds familiar. It's Monday morning. You made this plan, your goal, your idea is that you're going to prospect today. This is what you said. You told your manager. But then throughout the day, by the time the time comes for you to prospect, all of a sudden, other things take over. Maybe you have to check your email. And then after your email, you have to do a report. And after the report, now you got to update Salesforce with some stuff. And you have to realize you got to profile some of your clients. And next thing you know, your day is long gone and it's 6 o'clock. And you said, what in the world happened? Where did my prospecting time go? I was just too busy. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about how you can fix that problem once and for all. And it comes down to better knowing yourself. Listen, this stuff works. Hey everyone, welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I'm going to tell you about this challenge, this issue, this difficulty that we all face. We start off in the morning, we're feeling good, we're feeling excited, especially a Monday morning like today. Or even if it's a Wednesday, Thursday, whatever morning of the week it is. We start off early and excited. But then what happens by the time it gets down to the later on in the day? Something takes over. We actually do not do what we set out to do. And this might be, you might think, well, it's just because my day gets out of hand. It's because somebody else messed up my day, or somebody else had to come and ask me for a minute, or all of these different excuses. And I can tell you that we all have them, especially as a sales leader. You're probably saying, well, my team needs my help. Yes, you're going to say all of that. You can pawn off some of those things, but it really comes back down to a very, very simple idea. And that's by creating that ideal sales profile. I'm going to talk to you about this. It's about the picture that you set in your mind. It's about the concept that you visualize what that day and what that activity is going to be like before it even happens. Let me give you an example. Michael Phelps. You know Michael Phelps, right? I mean, the greatest swimmer of all time. The dude is like a freaking dolphin in the water. So Michael Phelps, one of the things that he learned as a kid, his coach taught him about playing tapes. Now, some of you millennials are probably going to get dated, or Gen Zs now. You're like, tape? What's a tape? A tape is a video cassette. That's what they had before digital stuff like DVDs, or, well, I guess DVDs are still kind of old school too now. But it's just a video, okay? Just take that. But the idea was that as a kid, Michael Phelps' coach told him, you need to play in your mind the perfect race. I want you to visualize that situation. I want you to know exactly what's going to happen when you go into the water, what the audience look like, the things that you hear, what the water temperature is like, how you feel mentally and emotionally, how it feels to go through that water. And when it comes down to winning the race or coming to the very end, describe that. And Michael Phelps would describe that to himself over and over, and he knew exactly what it would take for him to accomplish that race. He visualized it before it happened. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, well, Donald, this is all some cool, rah stuff. But I'm telling you that cool, and the rah stuff is what makes you money. The greatest of all people, the greatest sales rep, the greatest business owners, the greatest psychologists, the greatest auto racers, that's a term, NASCAR racers, the greatest sports athlete, Usain Bolt, or even Michael Phelps, the greatest of any industry, of any craft. These individuals visualize their success or what it's going to be like before it actually happens. And that is exactly what you need to do. So here's what typically happens, though, in most sales situations. We tend to not focus on ourselves, but we focus on external things. And I'll give you an example. We will spend hours and days and weeks coming up with the perfect customer or ideal customer profile, your ICP. We're going to know when they buy. We're going to know how they buy. We're going to know what they buy. We're going to know the time of year, the food they eat. We do all of these things to come to know and understand our customers. But we don't spend half as much time to come to know and understand ourselves as individual. Here's what you need to do is to create a tape of that ideal sales profile, the ideal seller. What does she look like? What does he look like? Hint, that ideal seller is yourself. But in the circumstances, it's your performance in those particular scenarios. So let's take Michael Phelps' example with playing the tapes. So more than just what that seller looks like, but what that seller will do under certain circumstances. Back in 2008, when Michael Phelps was swimming in Beijing, he was swinging in, I forgot what race it was, 200 meter. But in that race, his goggle actually broke and it filled up with water. So when he was doing this race, he really couldn't see anything. But it didn't stop him. He still won. And I think he broke or made some kind of world record during that time. How did that happen? Like, how was he still able to perform? Put ourselves in certain circumstances, certain situations like that, we probably would be like, oh my goodness, I can't finish this race. I can't see anything. But before Michael Phelps got in that pool, before that day came, way before Beijing, Michael Phelps played a tape in his head about his goggles filling up with water. What would he do underneath that circumstance? How would he perform? Knowing himself, he would ask, well, I guess if you go back in that situation, Michael Phelps in his head would say, well, is this something Michael Phelps can still perform in and win? And because he created this ideal swimmer profile, ideal seller profile in your case, he knew exactly the scenario. He planned it out beforehand. He had a vision of what he would do underneath these circumstances. He was able to perform without even skipping a beat, and no one knew until after the race that his goggles was full of water. You get where I'm going with this? So let's go back to your scenario with this idea of making phone calls. The day is going by, and next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock when you said you're going to make phone calls. You're going to call from 2 to 3 p.m. Let's just say that's the time slot you picked. But in that time period, when 2 o'clock came, all of a sudden now email came along. You have a bunch of emails coming up. What if you had a tape playing and you said, no matter what, at 2 p.m., I can envision myself making that phone call. I can envision myself getting those appointments that I need, those 2 appointments. I envision myself turning off my cell phone. I envision myself not answering any other email. I envision myself actually really digging myself in and focusing and prospecting during that 1 hour of time, and envision myself coming out of that one appointment period with that phone call, with that appointment set, or 2 appointments in your case, or maybe envisioning yourself, what will happen when your teammates or one of your colleagues come up and say, let's go take a coffee break or whatever. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? If you don't know what Donald or yourself, this ideal seller, is going to do underneath that circumstances, then you're just going to be at whim of other people or at whim of the circumstance. Am I making sense with that? You have to make that decision and understand what you're going to do before that comes up. So let me give you another one. Let's say you're calling a buyer and the buyer tells you, no, we're not interested. Many of us would probably focus on the techniques as far as, well, many of our clients have felt the same way. And, you can go off on all of that stuff, but ignore the skill set. Focus on the mindset. If you had a mindset to say, underneath that circumstance, is this something that this amazing seller, Donald C. Kelly, would know how to handle? Is Donald C. Kelly a problem solver? Is this a situation Donald C. Kelly could handle? If I could say yes, and I played a tape of what is going to happen before that happened, then I can recall that tape and I can perform underneath that situation. I hope this is jiving for you. I hope this is making sense. I want you guys, when it's all said and done, to create that ideal seller profile. Write it out. Tell yourself what you're going to do. Now, you don't have to have every single situation all written out, but make a tape of what that performance might be like underneath that circumstance. But at least make that ideal seller profile by saying, Donald Kelly is a sales rep that knows how to handle problems. Donald Kelly is a sales rep that knows how to perform under pressure. Donald Kelly always hits his quota. Donald Kelly always prospects every single day. Donald Kelly makes sure he, is a team player. Donald Kelly finds time to end his day on time so he can go spend time with his family. Whatever your ideal seller situation or profile is like, what are some of those qualities? What are some of those skill set? What are some of those situations that your ideal seller would perform in, or challenges that they come upon, and you make a decision and you play a tape in your mind how that situation is? I want you to create that, because once you have that, once you get into your selling mode, you're just gonna be like it's in the zone for real. Like you're in sync and you're not going to skip a beat. And that's what the greats do. So create that ideal seller profile and make sure in that ideal seller profile, you have some of those top difficult situations that you might face and play out what you would do. One of the things that I wrote down that you need to ask yourself is, and I just love it this way, is this like me or is this not like me? If you find yourself saying, is this like me when you are faced with, let's say, the prospecting situation? Is this like me to not do my prospecting? The answer is going to be no. So I'm going to push that out the way and play the tape that I already had. And that tape said I'm going to prospect and I'm going to get 2 appointments because Donald Kelly is a freaking amazing prospector and he does this job every single day. Or you can ask yourself, is this not like me? So is this like me or is this not like me? If you were to say, yes, this is like me, and if you don't have a plan, then you're going to say, yes, this is like me. I always have difficulty prospecting every single day. And if you don't have a plan, if you don't have your ideal seller profile created, if you don't have this mindset done, if you don't have a vision of what that's going to be like, then again, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to be at the whim of that situation. And you're going to fall back on what you've always done, which was status quo, which is not to prospect. Because the brain is going to say, well, Donald, you know what? Based on the studies and based on our history, every time you come to 2 o'clock, you're going to get up and you're going to go walk around. You're going to go talk to Lisa. You're going to talk to Dave, and you're going to talk about the sports, whatever sport's going on. If it's summertime, you're going to make up something you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about baseball, even though you don't like baseball. But you're not going to prospect. And that's what my brain is telling me, and then I'm going to perform according to that belief. But again, I need to change it with that tape. Am I making full circle here? Now, here's the other crazy part. Our brain, you might say, well, Donald, it seems like that's being dishonest because that's not the way I typically would behave. Listen, you being lazy and not doing prospecting is not the way you typically will behave either. That's just a habit that you build. That's just a habit that came. But your brain doesn't know the difference at all between something that's not real and something that's real. So if you were to play that vision over and over in your head of you having an amazing day, of you making your calls every single day, and you get an appointment every single time you make phone calls, listen, what will happen is that your brain won't recognize that as fictional. It will recognize that as something that is supposed to happen. It doesn't know the difference. So then it's going to give you the energy or the capacity to perform as if that may be the case. So you're going to, if you play that tape over and over, you're going to believe that. And then next thing you know, you start acting that way. You start getting those 2 appointments. You're going to set goals to get those 2 appointments. And you're going to act and do all you can in your power to get those appointments because that's what the brain registers. But again, if you don't have anything registered, the brain's going to fall back on whatever was there, whatever situation. And it's going to grapple and pull the data from the past and follow that method. And I don't think any of you want that. Now, this is why I feel mindset is so important. This is why the elite athletes spend so much time on mindset as well as on their skill set. Too many of us will only go and try to find great podcasts like this and figure out how can I make cold calls or how can I make sure I plan effectively. Those are great skill sets, and I'm a big believer in those, and we train on all of them. But in addition to that, I want you to put the horse, a well-bred stallion, before the cart. If you have your mindset, your ideal selling profile down, and you understand yourself and how you perform, listen, no matter what situation we put you in, you're going to perform well. The principles, again, is what you create in that ideal seller profile. Donald is a problem solver. Whatever situation I get in, I'm going to solve that problem. I'm going to ask myself, is this like Donald to solve this problem? Or is this not like Donald? And the answer is going to be, yeah, this is like Donald to solve that problem. Now, let me know what questions you have. Go ahead and comment down below. I know there's a lot of stuff here. It might be a little bit heavy for you, but I'm more than willing to share more insights with you or to get your feedback and to tell you a little bit more how I'm doing this on a day-to-day basis so it can help you as well. But comment below, or if you're listening to this podcast, go to our YouTube channel or LinkedIn, or go ahead and just find me on any social platform, Donald C. Kelly, and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your feeling. Are you a mindsetter? Are you setting something that is bulletproof? Are you able to handle difficult situations? Do you have your ideal seller profile created? I want to hear about this. All in all, I tell you stuff like this because I want to help you. I tell you about my good friends over at Crumble, because they have a great tool, and I feel that tool could help many of you. If you don't have a CRM, Don't worry about the issues of going through Excel or Google Drive and Google Doc folder and try to keep track of your prospect. You need to go ahead and check out Crumble. Go to crumble.com. I have a link down below or in our show notes, crumble.com/TSE. And you can go ahead and start using the tool for free. It is an ultra easy CRM that anyone can benefit from. Again, crumble.com/TSE. I want you to be successful. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. I want you to have more meaningful conversations. Play that tape in your mind. I want you to know how to handle difficult situations. I want you to have a bulletproof mindset. I want you to be able to close more deals. But most importantly, I want to challenge you each and every single day to go out and do big things. Stay tuned for the next episode. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.